If you're a teacher has ever thought about tutoring on the side, creating your own classes, or stepping into online teaching, I want to introduce you to a platform that is perfect for this, Adobe Connect. It is a fully customizable virtual classroom where you are in control of how your teaching looks, feels, and flows. One of the things that sets it apart is something called pods. Think of pods as movable pieces in your classroom. You can add, remove, and rearrange them depending on your lesson and your students' needs. You can have a chat pod running for quick responses and student interaction. You can turn cameras on to build connection and community. You can share your screen or slides for direct instruction. And you can create multiple layouts, almost like different stations in your classroom that you can switch between seamlessly. If you're working with younger students or want to increase engagement, Adobe Connect also allows you to bring in interactive elements like puzzles and word searches. These aren't just add-ons, they become part of the learning experience, helping students stay focused and involved. For tutoring, this is incredibly powerful. You can design one-to-one sessions that feel personal and intentional. Maybe you start with a quick check-in using a chat, move into direct instruction, and then transition to a hands-on activity like a word search or a puzzle to reinforce the concept. If you're thinking bigger and want to run your own classes, this platform gives you the structure to do that. You can organize your classroom ahead of time, create different layouts for different parts of your lesson, and build a routine that your students can rely on. What I love most is that it allows you to teach the way you already know how to teach. You're not squeezed into a one-size-fits-all format. Instead, you're building a space that reflects your teaching style. And for those of you considering side income or starting something on your own, this matters. The more confident and prepared you feel in your virtual classroom, the easier it is to attract and keep students. Adobe Connect gives you the tools to create a professional, engaging experience from the very beginning. So whether you're just exploring the idea of tutoring or you're ready to launch your own online classes, this is a platform worth learning. You don't have to figure it out all at once. Start simple. Open a room, add a few pods, try a short session, and build from there. You already know how to teach. This just gives you a new space to do it. And the great thing is, you can download Adobe Connect for free and have a free trial to try it out before you buy. Let's do a deep dive. All right, I am in one of my classrooms, and this is actually my layout for my lobby. I usually have a pretty simple lobby. Where you're seeing my camera here is where I normally put my camera pod, but I didn't want to have two in there. But that's normally the space that I put my camera pod, nice and small, in the top right. Underneath me is usually the attendees pod. I have a pretend guest here, Sally. I have different slides for every month. So I just kind of go through them through my months. Go back. Every month I have just a new one. That's how I do my lobby. When kids come in, I do not let them have their microphone. I actually give it to them. And that's a pretty easy thing to do. You hover over their name, click on it, and you give them their microphone. So now Sally has her microphone. You can take it away the same way. Click and uncheck the microphone. It's just a good thing to do when they first come in for them to not have their microphone. My students are able to come in at any time in the classroom. So what I leave them is nothing for them to do. It's just something for them to look at and no microphone. So they couldn't come in here like off hours and talk to their friends. So I keep it as pretty generic as possible. Sometimes though, when I'm here, I'll pull in a game at the bottom. And as you can see, I just stretched that pod. I will add here is the favorite game of the day. And as you can see, I just went to the website and there are a ton of custom pods that you can put. This is the favorite of the day, Save Our Sheep. So this is one. It's just a kind of a mindless game they can play while they're waiting in the lobby, just getting the sheep from stump to stump, but they really love it. Now let's build a classroom. So I'm going to go to this layout, and as you can see, I have different squares. Those are my layouts. And this layout here, there's nothing in it. This right here is for my screen recording. So I'm going to just build this out. The first thing I usually do, I put a share pod in. That's usually the most emphasis is going to be on the share pod, especially when you're instructing. And then you can stretch it however big or small you want it. I usually have it about this big. I want it to take up most of the room for my instruction, unless we're doing something else or a game. So there it is, and where my current camera is now is where I usually put my camera pod. Underneath me, I will put the attendees pod. So this is where you see their names. Let's stretch that down. And again, you can size it any way you want, and that way I can see who's in there. Now, let's say I don't want people to see each other. I could put anything I want in a backstage area. So I'm going to go backstage, which is going to open up this side piece. So this whole area, the students, whoever's in your Adobe Connect is not seeing this. This is just for the presenters. And here it has some different things that I don't use. I usually get rid of those. You can have presenter notes. So say you're doing something where you're just doing a lot of talking and you want to have notes to read from, but you don't want them to see you reading the notes. So you can have notes here on the side where they are not seeing it. I usually don't use that. But here's where I could, if I don't want them to see, I could put the attendees pod in this section, the backstage. Say I just want them to see this main area. Now I need to fill this with something. So I'm going to pull in, and this is, by the way, this is what my student sees. I'll show you that a little more. So now I'm going to go get whatever it is. I use PowerPoints. I actually use Keynote. I create all my slides in a Mac. So it's Keynote, and then I just convert them to PowerPoint. Adobe Connect does not take Mac stuff, so you got to transfer it to Keynote. And I'm just going to pull in a picture here. You can put in videos. You can put in, this is just an image. Most of the time, I'm just pulling in slides. Let me pull in. So here I just popped up what I have. So I'm just going to go, let's just get one of my slide decks. And I literally just have to drag it and onto the area. So it makes it really easy. You can click and upload it. But for me, I have everything on my desktop, everything organized through folders, and I just find the file I want and drag it right into Adobe Connect. Usually takes, depends how quick, usually takes for me less than a minute for anything to come up. So it's pretty quick. And there is some slides. Now to go through slides, you just click through them. We have drawing tools that you can enable and disable. I'm going to turn those on right up here. And I'm going to get rid of the backstage. And I'm going to pull back in the attendees pod. Now I can give students their drawing rights one at a time. So I have drawing rights right here. I can draw on the screen. Okay, you could also type things on the slide. Now for students to do that, and then you can get rid of it as well. So this is a selection tool, and I can just drag over anything, press my backspace or delete key. If I want Sally to be able to draw, I'm going to click her name and give her drawing rights. She will have that capability of drawing. If I go, let's go to Sally's. So this is Sally. So now she can draw. And so that is her drawing. And I will see it on my screen. And I can get rid of what she's done. So a lot of my slides I have that you draw on them. There's some instruction, but a lot of it is interactive. What I like to do, everybody gets to play. So I normally, when it's something I want everybody to respond to, I would put in a poll. So I'm going to put in a live poll. Okay, and then a new poll. I'm going to drag it to where I want it, resize it, and now everybody gets to do it. So the first thing you have to figure out, like if you want it to be a multiple choice, most of the time I use short answer. So they're having to type in the poll, and I usually just put question mark. I don't really explain things because it's usually on the slide that I'm explaining things. And now we're going to call on students to answer in the poll, also right on the slide. So say there's other students here, I'm telling everybody to, all right, number 2, how much money is that? And they're going to type it in the poll, but then I usually call on somebody else to do it on the slide. So then it becomes a little game. All right, let's try and beat Sally and see if you can write the answer in the poll before she writes it on the slide. So then you bring in a game element to instruction and practice. And so then here's Sally. She's going to get to write it. And let's say she wants to use the text tool, and she's going to make it much bigger. And there it is. So she's written that, and now it's on the slide for everybody to see. Whoever wanted to type in the poll is going to type down there, press enter, and it's going to appear. So lots of ways to use the poll. I use it in most of my subjects, except for maybe science and history, but even then sometimes. So you go through slides. I have everything arranged. Now, the great thing about this, say you're running out of time, you have a sidebar, and I make sure every one of my slides has a title, because the titles actually appear here in the sidebar. The great thing about that is I'm running out of time. I'm not going to do this next slide. I'm going to go right to the homework slide. The students do not see the sidebar. Click on that, and the next slide they see is the homework slide. So they have no idea that we just skipped a slide. So that's a really great feature about this. You can also have notes in your sidebar, and it would be when you do your PowerPoint, actually putting in the notes section, and that would actually appear here if you have some notes. So if you want more of a script as you're teaching, say it's something you're teaching for the first time, you might want to have some notes in there. And I usually just end with the next day. That next slide, ready for the next day. Now, when you go into Adobe Connect, they have all these pre-formatted layouts that you can use or not, but they, as you can see, this one is set up for discussion. So this one, and there's a camera feed. So I could literally turn on my camera, and now you're going to see my whole background. All right, so there is my whole background, and for some reason I'm frozen on that. That's how I would appear on the big camera pod. As you can see, there's lots of different options. Again, you can move anything anywhere and set it up however you want it. So I suggest going in and just really seeing, and it also lists the shares that you've recently done if you lose something or want to go back to it. And we have chat pods here. Now, if you want where you can communicate via chat with your students, but you don't want them to see each other's responses, you just want to see it. The Q&A is, I put that in my classroom in the lobby. So say they need to tell me they're going to leave early or whatever it is, a parent needs to communicate with me, that's in there just for me to see. And I use that a lot. Here's another layout. They have a whiteboard so they can have some brainstorming, some discussion. All right, the next thing I want to show you is some of the super fun activities you can do. So here's just a blank, there's no pods in here, and we're just going to put in one of those custom pods. And they have a lot of them. And we're going to click on the new custom pod, and it brings you to the Adobe website. And one that I use often is the jigsaw pod, and they have their own jigsaw puzzle that they can put together. We have the word search pod here. Okay, so this is like Wordle. This is a great way to introduce something. With this one, you put a word in there. So let's say it's a science word that we're talking about a specific thing today. I'm going to put in eagle, and you can give them attempts from 3 all the way up to 8. I tend to do 6 or 7. Click OK. And they have so many tries. They have those 6 tries to come up with the words. I always put, when I do this, if I don't know what the word is, I put in the vowels first to kind of give me an idea of what vowels, and then they're going to click here. Yellow means it is correct letters, but in the wrong spot. So the next time I know I'm going to have an E and an A, and sometimes I just do random ones, E-R-T-A. Okay, that's not a word, but you know what I mean. Oh, and now the E is in the right place, so we're going to keep that in the first, and we'll just try A as the second. E-A, oh, maybe it's eagle. All right, and once I have it all, it's all green. And that's just one of the fun pods that you can put in the class. Hopefully that gives you just a little idea of some of the ways that you can have a classroom and fit it to what you would like. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.